In a previous video, we looked at webbing-based suspensions and saw how easy it was to set things up. In this video, we're going to look at cord-based suspensions. I think that a lot of people shy away from the cord-based suspensions because they're afraid of knots. But I want to show that with just a little bit of knot work, you can considerably reduce the bulk and weight of your suspension system. For you visual learners, an illustration. The first backpacking trip I took using a hammock uses this rig right here. I had 12 feet of strap works at each end, 2 descending rings, and a carabiner. This total package right here, 14.2 ounces. Nowadays, I carry this, 6 feet of lightweight webbing, 8 feet of lightweight cord, and a toggle at each end, whose use we'll be seeing shortly. This total package, 4.5 ounces. You decide. Now when I hang my hammock, I end up having to do a lot of minute adjustments. I want to raise the foot or lower the head. And so the issue that I've got with the traditional Hennessy lashing is that it takes, actually quite a long time relative to other methods to undo the lashing enough so that you can adjust the suspension and then to do it all up again. The lashing itself is not hard. It's just that to make it secure, then you need to do 3 or 4 times around with the figure 8. All of this takes time. So the hope is that we can, by using a little bit of hardware, do a significantly faster job of doing small adjustments to the suspension. In the big picture then, we'll take a piece of cord and we'll fix it rigidly at one end. At the other end, we'll either tie it off or take the cord and loop it through something or around something and create a loop, which will either itself be rigid or possibly adjustable, and in that way adjust the length of the suspension. Now when the cord is fixed rigidly to the hammock, you have something like a Hennessy or one of War Bonnet Guy's hammocks, and then what you have to do is take the cord and tie it off at the tree in some way. If you are able to fix the cord at the tree and bring it back to the hammock and do your adjustment at the hammock, this has the advantage of being able to do your adjustment under the tarp, for example, if it's raining. We'll see examples of how all these things go. The easiest way to fix the cord to the hammock is to make a loop at the end of your cord. This is a bowline. Then pass the loop around the back side of the hammock. And then take your cord and run your cord twice through this loop and then tighten it up. And now you've got a nice rigid anchoring for your cord. You have a setup like War Bonnet Guys. You have a strap goes around the tree. At one end of the strap there's a ring. We can tie a buntline hitch through this ring. To adjust it, and you're done. So we've got now the problem of attaching the webbing to the cord. So there's one technique we can do just using knots. Don't be afraid. Here's our webbing. What we're going to do is something that's called a sheet bend, a double sheet bend actually. Make a loop like so of the webbing, pass the cord through. Actually want to pass the cord through a couple of times. That's what makes it a double. With the last time through being slippery so that you can get it out again. And then you tighten it up. And now you have a secure attachment of webbing and rope, and then you can just feed the rope through this loop at the tree, and then you've got cord going down to the hammock. And then we have the problem of how do you attach the cord to the hammock. Now we can see that those webbing guys got nothing on us as far as ease of use. So we have our webbing with carabiner at the end. Bring it around the tree a couple of times. Notice we've tied the cord onto the end of the webbing. Now let's just clip this on and follow the cord down to, what's this? A pair of rings. And the rope is going through the pair of rings in something that's called a Garda hitch. And the Garda hitch makes it just as easy to adjust the length of the suspension as if this had been webbing. So how does one tie such a Garda hitch? Easy, really. You take your cord and you pass it through the 2 rings, wrap around all the way, bring it up through the center again, but this time instead of going all the way through, pass the cord between the 2 rings and tighten it up. And the rings will pinch that cord off, and it's amazing, it works. But now we want to look and find ways where we can be just about as convenient, but without the weight of the carabiner, and with more flexibility than we get by tying the cord to the webbing. And the basis of this will be something that's called the Marlinspike hitch. A very nice technique we'll learn is a way to anchor the hammock at the tree using something that's called a Marlinspike hitch, something that TD taught us. So you take your webbing, got a loop at one end, bring the rest of the webbing through that, or if we had a carabiner and wanted to use it, we could just clip it on the way that we normally do with webbing-based suspensions. And now what I'm going to do is take the straight piece that's coming down like so and fold a loop up towards the tree, and then fold this loop up over again towards the tree, over the line that's coming down, and pull out the center. And now we can slip a trail stick in there. This is just a ½ inch or so in diameter, and slip it in there to keep the knot from slipping through. And now we've created a place where we can securely hang the cord from the hammock. When you have your Marlinspike hitch rigidly fastened to the tree, this gives us a place where we can take our cord with a loop in it, this is a bowline, and pass it around the peg, and the peg will hold it. What happens is that the force that's on the cord is passed to the webbing's wide around the trail stick and distributes that force, and so it will hold just fine. Another use of the Marlinspike hitch, where you can make the cord length adjustable at the tree, is to take this device, which we used with the webbing and at the end of the hammock as well, and loop it around the hitch. And now you can do your Garda hitch right here at the tree, if you like, rather than down at the hammock. And the main advantage of this technique is that you can take a hammock like the Hennessy, which has a built-in fixed cord coming from the hammock, and then have some adjustability using this sort of technique. For tying off the hammock, the Marlinspike hitch on the rope is clearing away my favorite technique. I'll form a loop as I did before. Now I can pull this through, and put in my peg as before. By the way, this is an Easton aluminum peg. It works very nicely. I carry some of those anyway, so they can be put to dual use here. There's another way of doing that, which is good when you're wearing gloves or mittens, and that's to form a loop. You can form a loop like this when you're wearing gloves. Bring your peg up through the middle, around the post, and back down through that loop. And now you can just tighten everything up, and you've got your Marlinspike hitch. And you can do this, as I said, with mittens on. Aluminum pegs are nice. Another toggle that I like is this one right here. It's made of wood called bloodwood. A friend of mine has a woodworking shop, and so he's made some of these for me. And they're small, light, and can be dedicated to this task. Very, very strong. I have a hole drilled through this. Normally I'll have a cord through that hole, and I'll attach the peg rigidly to the suspension cord so that I don't lose it. Then I just slide the cord where I need to make the hitch.